Hello my loves, welcome and welcome back to my channel TGIF. I am so glad it is Friday. While you guys are here, go ahead and do me a favor and show me some love by liking the video and hit subscribe if you are feeling the vibe. Those who are interested in my personal channel or know about my personal channel, I just uploaded 3 non-phone jobs earlier today. I'm doing the non-phone Friday, so on Fridays I will be uploading 3 non-phone jobs. Okay, so I just uploaded that earlier today, and y'all already know I have life after divorce, day in the life, story times, just stuff like that on my personal channel. So I will link my personal channel in the comments below. Now today's video, we are going to be talking about these bottle girls again. A lot of people kind of glamorize the bottle girl lifestyle, and everyone who comes in the door, they just think that that's what it's going to be, that's how much money they're going to make, and that's what their typical day in the life of bottle girl is going to be. But that's not always the case, so that is what this video is here for. This is part 2, so I am going to link part 1 in the comments below for those who are interested. But it's definitely some informational tips on there, and then also some entertaining story time. So we'll talk about it a little bit at the end. Go ahead and watch the content creators, and I'll be back at the end with my commentary.
Hey y'all, I was a bottle girl in Houston, Texas for about 4 months. I did not last long, okay, because I just realized that environment is not really for me. But if you do want to become a bottle girl in Houston, Texas, I'm here to tell you the bad parts about becoming a bottle girl. I feel like on TikTok they glamorize it and just amp up bottle girling to be the best thing in the world, the best job you can have in your 20s. And don't get me wrong, it is a fun job and you can make a lot of money, but it's not always that. So let me tell y'all the real about becoming a bottle girl as a girl who was a bottle girl in Houston, Texas. Yeah. Okay, so the number one thing I was not prepared for about becoming a bottle girl is how expensive it is to become a bottle girl. Like, it's expensive, okay? This is an expensive job to have. I mean, most of the time people start a job because they don't got no money, but you generally cannot be broke, like, wanting to become a bottle girl. Like, you just can't. The uniforms run for $80 a piece at least, okay? You need all these different colors, and then most of the time you only wear the uniform like maybe once, okay? And then you got to keep your hair done, your lashes done, your nails done, your makeup done. And if you don't know how to do that yourself, like, that can be mad expensive. And I think I already mentioned the uniforms, but the uniforms itself are expensive. Like, it's expensive in general. And yes, you do end up making the money back, but when you first like getting started, you got to get all that stuff at once. And I think I spent at least $400 just on getting started. Okay, the next thing I would say is relationships. I don't want to say they don't work, but they don't work often. I do not recommend dating if you are wanting to get in the nightlife. It doesn't matter what your job is. It literally doesn't even matter if you want to be a bartender. Like, don't do it. For one, the man probably gonna emotion because he all up in his feelings because he mad you're working in the club. And then for 2, it's just too much stress. Like, you work long nights, long hours, and it's the club. Like, you know, men, I think you have to have a really strong type of man to work in the club. And out of majority of the bottle girls I know, I think maybe like 5% of them are actually in like healthy relationships. So that's what I'm saying. It can work, but you just have to have a certain type of man. And I'm not even gonna lie, they really don't exist. Like, they don't exist. Sorry. Just wait to date if you're gonna work in the club, or you can break, or you can like quit, which is what I did. So okay, and the last biggest thing is the money. Okay, so on TikTok you see all these girls coming in with 1 band, 2 bands, even 3 bands in one singular night. And honestly, those days they do happen, but like, it's not realistic. You're not gonna make that much money every single day. There have literally been days where I walked out the club with less than when I came in. Like, I remember I worked in this one lounge and I think I left with $12. it's literally just so unrealistic, guys. Like, you're gonna have great days being a bottle girl, and then some days you are not gonna make any money at all. So just the money's what do you call it, inconsistent. But yeah, those are all the things that I want people to be aware of before you become a bottle girl. Also, something else, most bottle girls I know actually have 2 jobs. So they have a day job, and then that's like their night job. So yeah, that's everything I have to say in this video.
Okay, y'all, so I'm gonna get y'all to tea on this job. I started on Wednesday. By Saturday, I had grabbed my bag and I was like, job. Cause one thing about me, especially if you know me, I'm quick to say job. Cause the job ain't never gonna stress me. Okay, so some people was asking about like the actual process of the hiring. Honestly, I follow a lot of clubs on Instagram just for the sole purpose. Sometimes they post when they having open interviews or when they're hiring. So I just saw that they were hiring. I went in, did the application, did the interview the same day, got hired on the spot. So we gonna fast forward. Wednesday was my first day. It was super slow, which I expected because 4th of July weekend was like that weekend right before. Okay, so Thursday was slow too. But luckily, it wasn't too bad. I was bartending a little bit, so I made tips off of that. And then one of the promoters I know came in, and we just sat at the bar, chilled, talked, took shots, and he tipped me out $200. Easy day. Alright, so Friday come around, it is humping and thumping it up. It's lit. So one guy come in, he buys 2 bottles. Me being a bottle girl, I bring out the bottles, go about my business. 5 minutes later, he calling me over. I'm like, what's up? What you need? He was like, oh, how much do you charge for a dance? I was like, I'm not a dancer, but I can get one of the other girls for you. Now, with that being said, some of the girls there, they looked out for me if a nigga wanted a bottle or if a nigga wanted a drink. So if a nigga wanted to dance, look out for you too. We gonna both eat together. So he's like, no, I don't see no girls in here that, you know, I like. I want to dance from you. So I casually just walk off. Here's the good part. My manager then comes to me like 30 minutes later. He's like, oh, you know the guy you brought the bottles out to? I'm like, yeah, what's up? He was like, oh, you know, he spent a lot of money in here. You know, he's like a regular. I'm going to need you to go and get him a dance in the private room. So I'm like, you got to be smoking dick. Because what? And no shade to the girls that dance or script, do whatever, make your bag, sis. But I don't care if you popping on the pantry. I don't care. I don't mind. That's just not me personally. So I'm looking at him crazy. And he's like, yeah, but because you're not a licensed dancer, because you have to have a permit to script. Because you're not licensed, I'm going to need to take 20% of whatever he give you. So basically, you trying to pimp me. I don't like that. So Saturday comes around. I'm still feeling some type of way from Friday. But I didn't say nothing. I didn't mention it. So he was just like on my about every little thing, and I felt like he did that intentionally because I refused to give the guy a dance. So one of the promoters I knew came in. He was like, Jay, it looked like you're not feeling this. I was like, and I'm not. He said, we got a section at tier, let's go. And what I did, grabbed my bag and left.
Let's talk about the troops of being a bottle girl. First of all, it is not what a lot of people hype it up to be, and it can be. Don't let me discourage you. I know a lot of people who indeed make that money that people claim. But I want to let you know how you're going to determine, are you going to be one of those people? I thought I just had to walk in there with a pretty face, be cute, and that was it. No, ladies and gentlemen. So I worked at 2 different types of clubs. One like 2 years ago, and then this one. My experience at each was about a month or so each, because I just quit. First things first, there is no base pay, no flat rate. You are solely working off of gratuity, tips, and tables, like what tables you sell. Usually it varies by bar, but you get paid per bottle. So for instance, if this table requires 2 bottles for you to buy, at my last club, I got 50 a bottle. Now I got 100. However, it's not that simple. If you forget to ask for your additional 50, you will not get that additional 50. So let's go with a bottle. Let's say they got a bottle of tequila blanco. That's $300 plus the $200 door fee for their section to come in. Then also your gratuity, your $50. If that's all confusing for you, you're already off at a wrong foot, honestly. Because you're gonna have to be able to sit there and be like, oh, the total's $550, right? And ignore all those breakdowns in your head. If that's not complicated for you, then great. Also, I personally think the training across the board in all clubs for being a bottle girl sucks. They just throw information at you with no type of structure. It's unpaid training for like 3 days, and then boom, that's it. Good luck. I get overstimulated and I don't really like clubs. If you're a club girly, then I actually think this is a good job for you. But if you're not a club girly, you're going to be so overstimulated and so irritated because the men are going to be on you. And if you don't got the boundaries while also having the ability to flirt and get them to buy more, you're going to struggle. Also, make sure to figure out what type of club this is. The more popular clubs will require you to actually have your own network because you're going to have to sell tables. If you're at a lesser known club, then you could just, you know, get people who just show up at the door and they'll either assign it to you or you see them on the floor, you know, debating, and you could go to them and be like, hey, you interested in a table? The money is not consistent. It varies by seasons. As you can assume, in the summer and certain events, it's going to be better. But I have left there with $40 after being there from like 9-10 p.m. to like 4 a.m. If you are at all just scatterbrained like me, this is not the job for you. People will run off, right? You gotta always make sure you charge first. Give them the receipt. You want water? Here, it's $6 right now. You also have to be stern. A lot of rules in the club just don't make sense. You didn't make them. You just work here. If you are an empath in any sorts, this ain't gonna work for you, because I am. I had one table and I'm like, yo, they're doing you wrong. This rule makes no sense. But you also need to be able to have the ability to upsell. I'm like, I got that. This is not sales. This is not what you think. Upsell in the club is just a completely different like methodology. Also, another thing I didn't take into consideration is the fact that even though you don't have a base pay, you still have to buy uniforms. So just take that into account. You're gonna have to buy uniforms and you're not gonna make money in the beginning. Whether it be because of favoritism or lack of experience, they're going to give most of the tables to the older girls. So you're gonna have to build yourself up. And if it's a really popular club, you're gonna start cocktailing, which just simply means like, you know, getting people to buy drinks off the floor. Just off of my observations, I just feel like certain type of girls don't last as long. I am certain type of girls. I just don't have the personality for it. I don't. Be prepared, because it's a club environment, so there'll be fights, whether it be the clientele, whether it be amongst the staff. If that don't bother you.
Yeah, so all in all, not a club girly, not a bottle girl. Next time I need a nighttime job, catch me at an Amazon warehouse for damn $8 an hour, because I'm not doing this again.
So this is going to be part 1 to my KOD story time. I'm at work, so if you hear any music in the background, I apologize. By the way, I am not a bottle girl anymore, just to start off, just to clear the air. I'm now a body sculpting technician. We're also looking for estheticians, massage therapists. We got a really big suite available. If you guys need anything, let me know. We're in Smyrna, but shameless self-plug over, okay? But anyways, let's get into this. So last year I moved to Atlanta in August, and initially I didn't plan on being a bottle girl, but like, you know, it just seemed like something fun or whatever. I never worked in any club life before, so the first club I worked at was this club in Latonia. When I saw the day shift manager for King of Diamonds, she had posted like a casting call saying that she was looking for bottle girls. So I sent in my picture, my name, and I lied a little bit and said I had experience back in New Jersey, but I told her I was working at this club out here. So the day of my audition, I got an email the day of saying like pull up, and KOD was about 45 minutes from where I was at in Atlanta. So I drove all the way over there. I was late as fuck, and there was like probably like 100 to 200 girls outside in the line. Now, like I said, I moved from New Jersey. We do stuff like a little bit different, like from the way we dress, the way we act, like everything is just different. So I was still getting accustomed to like the Atlanta life. So I came to this audition in jeans, a t-shirt, no makeup. I look like this for the most part. I had my hair in a little ponytail, but I was not like, compared to everybody else who had on like full on club outfits, face bead, lace front, like I stood out. Not to say that I'm not confident in myself, because I know I'm a badass. I always been confident in myself, but I just was thinking in my head like, damn, I should have did a little bit more for this audition. So at the audition, they ask you 2 questions. They asked me if I had any kids. They asked me if I had another job. And I said no to both. And they were like, okay, we're going to be in contact with you. So after that, I got a call from the hiring manager, and she had told me to come in and start working their Sunday brunch, which, by the way, if you are trying to work at KOD and the first thing they start talking about is some Sunday brunch, run. So the first red flag to me was all the unorganization and the lack of communication. Like my first day that I was supposed to start, I ended up in the hospital with a really bad allergic reaction. My face was really swollen. So I texted the manager, letting her know I need to reschedule my first day. No one ever got back to me, but I was never like kicked out of the work group chat, and they kept putting me on the schedule. So by the time I ended up showing up for my first day, I go up to the day shift manager and was like, hey, it's my first day. Can you show me like how I'm supposed to be maneuvering? And she was like, oh, it's your first day? I thought you'd been here. So yeah, that was the first red flag. So the second red flag was I went in for my second Sunday brunch shift, because they're only going to put you on Sunday brunch to begin, because they want you to get them good reviews so that they can switch you over to the night schedule. So their whole thing was like promoting Google reviews, and they want you to have your customers leave the name in the review so that they can put you on night shift. And I'm about to film part 2 right now. Okay, so this is part 2 to the KOD Atlanta fiasco. So I was saying in the last video that they would really try to push you to get good Google reviews so that you could get on the night shift. But in reality, it wasn't that hard to get on night shift. All they would do is text in a group chat and say, hey, does anybody want to work tonight? And you could say yeah, and you would pull up. It's not that hard. They were also claiming that there was a separate night and day shift manager. That may possibly be true, but I never met the night shift manager because it was only ever the day shift manager there. But anyways, the next red flag was that every time I would show up to my shift, there was a completely different set of girls from the last shift. Like, it was never any consistency. It would maybe be one girl from the last shift, but nobody was ever returning. There was just always some form of like lack of communication or disorganization. Like I remember this one day, they texted the group chat and told us we were closed for snow. Next thing you know, the manager's assistant is calling me like, you didn't show up to your shift. Like, it was a mess. So I'm gonna skip to this one particular day. I was working Sunday brunch like usual, and this particular day was jumping. Like, I was running around like a chicken with its head cut off. And for me, never being in like the waitressing industry or never being a bottle girl like that, I was doing pretty good. Like, I was doing a damn thing. So Sunday brunch is 12 to 8, but it usually gets dry around 4. So 4 to 8, we just sitting around, right? So I'm counting up my money, and I'm adding up my receipts. So this was the day we were supposed to all of a sudden start getting gratuity, because before that we would never get no gratuity. We would just work strictly off tips. So that means we would be getting gratuity, but we also still had to pay like our house fees and tip out the bartenders, which I never had no problem with. The problem is they don't tell you how much the house fee is, nor do they tell you how much a standard tip out is. Because at KOD, the girls aren't allowed to touch none of their own money. The strippers aren't allowed to touch their own money. The bottle girls, we don't touch our own money. Like, it's really ridiculous. So pretty much I added up all my credit card tips and my cash tips. Obviously, I keep the cash tips and give them my credit card receipts, but that's where I made most of my money. I made about, I want to say $350 in credit card tips and like 120 in cash tips. So altogether, I could have brought home like 500, 550. I really don't remember the exact number, but I remember I was somewhere around that range, and that was the best I ever did as a bottle girl. Like, to this day, I'm not a bottle girl no more, like I said, but that was the best I ever had did at that point. So I give my credit card tips to the bartender I was working with for the night, and she brings them back to be added up and counted up and totaled and whatever. And I'm over here, and the other girls say the house fee is $40 tonight. So I'm like, that's not bad, cool. So I'm in my head just standing outside the office doing the math or whatever, and then they finally call me back into the room. She counts out a couple 20s and was like, yeah, this is what you made. It was about $120. And then she takes out 60 and was like, that's the house fee. This is what you made. So out of the 300 and something that I counted on them credit card tips, they gave me $60. $60. So here's part 3 to the KOD story. This is the last part because not much really happened after that. I did go back for one more shift after that because, number one, I wanted to see if anything, like, happened, if the same thing happened to the other girls, which it did. Everybody got skimmed their money that night, which I don't know if I mentioned in the last part. This night, they were supposed to be giving us gratuity on top of our tips for this night, which is the first time that they started doing that. Usually, we would only get tips, like, we wouldn't get a percentage of anything we sold. So, ironically, the first night they're experimenting with gratuity is the night that everybody gets their money stolen. So I went back for another night and I didn't pay nobody no tip out. I left mid-shift because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get my lick back. But yeah, after that I just left the work group chat and nothing ever came of it. Nobody said nothing to me. I know after that, my mom ended up sending me a post of a celebrity. I really don't remember who it was. I want to say it was like 112, like some old school artist. But KOD had advertised that 112 or whoever it was, I forget who it was going to be there. And I remember they posted on Instagram, like, we are not going to be here. This is a scam. Da, 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 da. Couple months later, I'm scrolling on TikTok and I see everybody talking about their experience at KOD, and I thought maybe it was just me. Like, I thought they tried to get over on me because, like, I'm new here, and, like, I don't know, like, I was just thinking all types of things. Like, I thought it was me, like, it was like a self-confidence thing. Like, I just did not know what was going on. But after I seen that this happened to so many other girls, I was like, oh, okay. And a lot of people were like, oh, we keep telling y'all not to move to Atlanta, da, 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 da. I already know. I didn't do my research coming here. I didn't talk to anybody that lived here. I didn't, like, do anything. Like, I fell for the social media hype just like everybody else. But I'm not really complaining. It is what it is now. I'm not here for friends or fun or anything like that. I'm just here to make my money and build my business. But yeah, that's really all that came of it. If you're going to try to be a bottle girl here, I would just say be on your P's and Q's, because 2 out of the 4 clubs I worked at did this to me. And just reading the comments on my original post, there's a lot of clubs out here that's doing this. So if you're going to move to Atlanta thinking that bottle girls, strippers, like all that, just make sure you are going to the right places, I guess. I'm not in the industry anymore, so I don't have that much advice. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. And like I said, if you guys want any updates on the suite rentals that we have going on, we're also looking for new clients. Follow Body Bay Aesthetics on Instagram, and that's it. Bye.
Bottle service, story time. So I'm working at the bar. It's really slow. My manager asked me if I want to leave early. I'm like, sure, bye-bye. So then I get into my car, I'm about to pull out of the lot, and my manager comes knocking on my window. I roll my window down. He's like, hey, there is actually some people that want to buy a table. Can you clock back in and work? I'm a little bit annoyed, but also like, it's money. So I'm like, of course. I'm all smiles. I'm like, what are we celebrating? Let me show you guys to the table, blah, blah, blah. The hostess told me that they wanted Grey Goose on my way in, so I set them down at the table, and I was like, Grey Goose, right? And the guy's like,
well, I don't know. What would you recommend?
And I was like, it really depends on what you like. Were you looking for vodka tonight? And this guy's like,
it doesn't have to be vodka. Like, I just want to know what you would pick.
So I'm like, let me grab a menu, and we can go over everything that we have and what the pricing is and everything like that. And the guy's like,
I don't need to look at pricing. Pricing's not an issue. I want you to sell me on a bottle.
So I'm like, okay, say less, because a lot of my job is sales. So if someone specifically asked me to like convince them, I got it. So I was like, well, if price is not an object and you're looking for luxury tonight, I would recommend Don Julio 1942. It's definitely going to be our most luxury tequila that we have. And then he's like,
no, that's not gonna work. Just a tip for you, sweetie. Don't recommend Don Julio to rich people because it really makes you sound low class. It's a crappy tequila.
So I'm like, okay. If you don't like Don Julio, I mean, a lot of what we have here is Don Julio. We have like 4 different variations. We do have Casamigos or other tequilas if you like those tequilas. And he's like,
yeah, clearly you've never had nice tequila before or like been around people with money to buy nice tequila because that's a crappy tequila.
And I'm like, oh, I didn't like specify that it was my favorite. I just said it was the nicest, most luxury bottle that we have here. But if you don't like Don Julio, what kind of tequila do you like? Or would you like vodka? Like, help me out here. And the guy's like,
well, I like Fortaleza. So let's just start out with 3 Fortaleza waters and then we'll decide on the bottle.
So I was like, okay, sure, go grab that. I walk behind the bar to pour the drinks, and mind you, like sometimes they negotiate a little bit at the doors, like buy a bottle and we'll throw in a round of free drinks. So these drinks were complimentary. So I'm looking for the Fortaleza Blanco, which is what he asked me for, and we're out. So, oops, I accidentally made the drinks with Don Julio Blanco. I bring them back. Here are those tequila waters for you guys. He takes a big sip and he's like,
Yeah, that's so much better than Don Julio.
and I'm just looking at these guys like, uh-huh. They end up deciding on a bottle of Grey Goose after all. So I bring out the bottle of Grey Goose with the sparkler and the sign, whatever. And this guy leans in close to me and he says,
So, like, if you, party, his apartment's actually not too far away from here.
and I'm like, oh, no, thank you. I don't do drugs. And this man says to me,
You look like you do.
at this point, I don't even acknowledge that. I just kind of laugh it off and I'm like, is there anything else I can grab you guys right now? And then it got 10 times worse. Let me know if you guys want a part 2. Okay, part 2 of my bottle service story time. So I go back to the table to check on them. I'm asking if they need any more mixers or waters. And the guy just looks at me and says,
Sorry, I can't even focus on what you're saying right now. I'm so distracted by your...
so I just kind of laugh that off. I get comments like that all the time. I dress kind of sexy at work. So it's not something that really bothers me or gets to me, but it's rude. And then the guy's like,
So, where do you live? You probably live in...
insert like a not that nice area of LA / like the most affordable rent. Somewhere that's known for being like not that safe. And I was like, no, I actually live in insert like nicer, safer part of LA. Probably one of the most desirable places like for renters in LA. And so then the guy's like,
Yikes, yeah, that's where, like, all the... live.
and I'm like, no, it's not. Like, it's just not. Then I was like, where do you live? And the guy said,
Oh, I live in downtown.
which if you live in LA, you know why that's funny. But at this point, I'm like schmoozing. I'm determined to get a good tip. So I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of really nice apartments in downtown. Then I was like, wow, what do you do for work? And the guy says,
Well, you know, obviously, like, I'm trapping...
so I'm like, oh, okay. Everything makes a lot more sense now on why this guy's like flashing money at me, offering me substances, because he has dirty money. The night goes on. It's like just these two guys. The club is dead. I don't know why they bought a bottle. It was one of the guys' birthdays, but not for another 2 weeks. Finally, there's like 2 or 3 girls that kind of walk up and go to the table. And usually when I have a group of guys at a table and girls finally like join their table, like they get girls off the dance floor, like come drink at our table, whatever, the guys will then ignore me, even though they had previously been like creeping on me and hitting on me the whole time and like asking me to hang out at their table. Once they actually get girls at the club to hang out, they like are super cold and rude and like dismissive because they're trying to impress the girls. So it's last call time. I grab the card and I go to close out the tab. And guess what? The card declines. So now that there's girls at the table, I have the perfect opportunity to walk up and be like, hey, I want to close you out. The card that you gave me, it didn't go through. Do you have another card or should I try that one again? The guys like shook that I would say this, especially in front of girls. I kind of pretended like I was trying to be discreet about it, but everybody knew what was going on. Then the guy's like,
Usually it's just like a security text, like I'll just check for it.
and I'm like, okay. Normally when people are nice to me, I don't walk up and say your card declined. I say, hey, can you check if you have a text from the bank? But this guy was really getting on my nerves. So I was like, hey, that card didn't go through. He messes around on his phone. I don't know if he's like transferring money or approving the text or whatever. But then he's like, okay, try it again. It goes through. I bring the card back to him with the receipt to sign. He signs. He leaves me a good tit. And then I look at him and I'm like, you know, since you got it like that, you should probably get an Amex because I never have issues with those, like, you know, not going through on the first try. The look on this guy's face, and then I just kind of giggled and was like, bye, have a good night. And that's what happened.
Okay, let's talk about being a bottle girl in the nightlife. I love Love how the first girl spoke about startup costs. I don't think a lot of people realize that it can get expensive just for startup costs being a bottle girl or even being a stripper. You know, like you have to get the uniforms, you have to look the part. If you are a black girl, you know, our hair is different than a lot of other races. So typically we're going to have to get a style that, you know, is going to last us for a while, just to protect our hair so we don't have to do it every single night if we're going to be going in every night, you know. So maybe some braids or maybe like some weaves, you know, like I see a lot of bottle girls wear wigs and wear the weave extensions and stuff like that, and that can get expensive. You know, if you don't regularly get your nails done, your hair done, your lashes done, you will quickly learn how expensive that can get once you start getting that stuff done. And yeah, you will, I'm sure, make the money up eventually, but it just can get expensive. And if it's not something that you like doing, then it is something you probably need to consider. If you don't know how to do makeup, you know, they have all those tutorials on YouTube, TikTok. Matter of fact, they have tutorials on almost how to do everything nowadays. You don't even really have to go to the hair salon nowadays. I only go to the hair salon if I'm getting my hair pressed out because I need to get my ends clipped and stuff. But when it comes to everything else, I just be trying to learn how to do stuff myself just to cut out cost. But it can get very expensive if you don't know like what you're doing and you feel like you need to look the part. And definitely you'll also be competing against other women too, you know, because they might say, no, I want that bottle girl. No, I want that. You know what I mean? So you want to look the part, look nice, look good. So it can get expensive. And if you are not a girly girl, you just might not be interested in that. So that is definitely something to consider. I agree when it comes to the whole relationship thing. My sister has been a bartender for a lot of years now, and she did have some issues in her relationships when it comes to that because some men do get insecure or just uncomfortable knowing that all these men are in their woman's face. Like I remember one time my sister's boyfriend was actually there at the bar, and my sister was being a bartender, and this dude was all up in her face trying to talk to her, get with her and stuff like that, and he got mad about it, you know, and it was just the whole thing. So like, yeah, you know, if you're going to be in the nightlife, especially a stripper, especially a bottle girl and stuff like that, you might want to consider just being single and, you know, getting yourself together, whether that's to pay for school or pay for a business or certification, whatever, and then think about dating unless your man is extremely, extremely comfortable with you doing it and secure with you doing it, because I can see where that can cause a lot of problems and issues, especially because the little outfits you have to wear. Nowadays, a lot of men see bottle girls almost as strippers, and that kind of goes into the second story. Like, you know, the fact that she was a bottle girl, but he telling her like, no, you need to go in a private room and dance. Sir, I did not sign up for that. That's not what I applied for. That's not what I agreed to. So why do you expect me to just go in there for some money and do that when that's not what I wanted to do? There is girls in here for that. If he did not want one of these girls, he needs to go to another club to go find somebody that he's looking for, you know. But to just objectify your bottle girl like that is completely wrong. She is not an object. But again, a lot of men in this industry, they will see you as objects. They will dang near try to pimp you, whether you a, you know, bottle girl, whether you a hostess, whether you a waitress. If it's at night at a bar and stuff like that, a lot of times, unfortunately, that's how a lot of men see you, especially if they the owners. They be thinking they can say and do whatever they want. I wouldn't be surprised if they try themselves to hit on you or get some from you because they think that, yeah, you up under me, I can get some, you know. So you have to be careful with that. But I'm so glad that she still stood on what she said and she ended up leaving, because yeah, your morals and values come first. Don't let nobody make you feel uncomfortable. So that's crazy to me, you know. You know, and when it comes to like that third story, I've been hearing a lot more story times about like KOD and just Houston, actually clubs in general, but like KOD's in Atlanta. But I've been hearing like a lot more stories on TikTok about these bottle girls and their experiences working in Atlanta nightclubs, working in Houston nightclubs. Houston is currently trending to where they definitely been talking about Houston, from what I last seen. So, you know, just again, that's something to be mindful of, is what location you're going to be working at. Always go on TikTok and look at the reviews of that location, of how bottle girls feel working at that location. That will tell you a lot of stuff that you need to know. I ain't gonna lie to you, that last story was cracking me up. That was hilarious to me. Like, especially when she would change the voice to act like him. Like, sir, who do you think you are? Like, I cannot stand no stuck up person. I cannot stand a stuck up person thinking that they better than somebody. Not you sitting here acting like you the CEO of like Walmart or Amazon, something like that, walking in here like, sweetie, don't offer rich people that. And then you in the streets, sir, like, please be for real. Please be for real. Like, sit down, pick what you want, let me know, and I will bring it to you. I cannot stand people who do the most and act like that, and then got the nerve for your card to decline. Now, I am aware that cards be locked, security deposits, because I know stuff like that do happen to me, because I lock all my debit cards because Amazon and Apple be having me messed up just charging my card. But still, doing the absolute most. Sir, if you don't sit down. And I also don't like how people belittle other people when it comes to like stuff like that. Like, why does it matter where she live? You ain't her friend. You ain't her dude. Like, why does it matter where she live? And then why are you trying to, like belittle her? Like, I cannot stand that. But y'all let me know what y'all think. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I will see y'all on the next one.